You never would have thought such a small, loving town like Alpine would come to a situation like this.
Right now, I have nowhere else to go. I'm just wandering the streets of Alpine right now, just trying to find more information about what's happening and just looking at the school itself.
We're continuing to follow breaking news out of Alpine. We want to give you a look at some photographs from the scene today as an active shooter at Alpine High School shoots a student and then turns the gun on herself. A little after 9 o'clock this morning, the calls came pouring into our newsroom about an active shooter at the high school.
There were then rumors of a bomb threat, and schools were eventually locked down, according to the Brewster County Sheriff's Office. A person even called the Sheriff's Office and demanded to be left alone.
This has been a continuing story. We've gotten lots of information over the past couple of hours, and today we are continuing to follow this tragedy in Alpine. We have confirmed that the shooter is dead from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. Brewster County Sheriff has confirmed that for us just minutes ago.
That's right. Sheriff Ronnie Dodson reports that one female student shot another female student before turning the gun on herself. All schools and administration in Alpine are under critical lockdown. Sul Ross State University also under lockdown at this time, but the threat of an active shooter has been cleared. That information is according to Marfa Public Radio. They're responding to a bomb threat on campus. Brewster County Sheriff Ronnie Dodson reports that someone called the sheriff's office and said, "Y'all better leave me alone," end quote, and made threats against Sul Ross State University. Alpine Police Department confirms that there is an active shooter, or was an active shooter at Alpine High School.
So as you can imagine, social media played a huge role in how today unfolded. We are just seconds away from being able to talk with Brewster County Sheriff Ronnie Dodson, who led this entire day of one chaotic situation after another. I have to say, from all the witnesses on the ground, they gave a lot of accolades to the department for handling that. But what started as a shooting at the high school then transitioned to a bomb threat at the university. So his teams, along with a massive law enforcement presence, handled both of those situations today among a lot of confusion. Some people thinking that the high school, the shooter might have left the campus and headed to Sul Ross, but that is not what happened. In fact, Sheriff Ronnie Dodson joins us now live on the phone. Sheriff Dodson, thanks so much for being with us today. Tell us where we are in the investigation. Where's your focus at this moment in Alpine?
In Alpine, it's on the university, and about 2 minutes ago, someone called in another threat to our hospital. So we're having this even getting thinner and starting to send people over to the hospital. You know, whoever's calling these other threats in, they may think they're funny, but this ain't funny.
Not funny in any way, shape, or form. I know that you guys have also called in the FBI. We will rest sure that you'll find out who's doing this. Is there any reason for you to believe that all these are connected, or, you know, after the shooting at the high school, that someone's trying to distract? What could be the motive here?
I have no idea right now. Just some son of a gun. At this time, I don't think they're involved with the high school shooting because of the circumstances. But someone, I guess, seeing all the law enforcement that responded now is going to spread us real thin. But that's where we stand right now.
Now, Sheriff Dodson, we also understand the confirmed shooter is dead and that a Homeland Security agent was shot by friendly fire as well. Do you have any information on his condition?
No, not right now. That's under investigation right now. I believe the Office of Inspector General will work on that at our other crime scene. So they're on scene at that one right now anyway.
Sheriff Dodson, you mentioned earlier when we spoke that you knew the family of the young woman who initiated this shooting, who shot another student. What can you tell us about the girl? She turned the gun on herself. What can you tell us about this young woman or her family?
I knew her grandfather. I didn't know her or anybody else. They were, you know, that's all I know about them. You know, but they would just seem to be really good people to me.
And do you know how old the students were who were involved here? We know high school, but about their ages?
I believe they're freshmen. One was a freshman. I just don't. I can't give you that information now because we're still in the middle of it. Okay.
Okay. Yes, sir. We are also wondering about the conditions of the students right now. Where are all the students?
She's in the hospital here in the hospital in Alpine.
Okay.
And the rest of the students have been released to their families, at least at the high school. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for your time today. We will stay with your department as your investigation continues. Our crews are now on the scene in Alpine. This is still a very active situation, obviously, and they are trying to collect information from people who were there, who saw this happen firsthand.
That's right. And as it did unfold, of course, then with the bomb threat coming into Sul Ross University, when we first were initially covering this story from the start, a little after 9 o'clock, Tatum and I started digging and talking to people that were there on the scene. Sul Ross was not a part of this initial crime scene or investigation, but that is now turned as they have received the bomb threat. We're going to check in with Amanda DeBerry, who is live from the scene right now. Amanda, where are you and what do you see?
Krista and Tatum, what an intense situation. The city of Alpine is on complete lockdown right now. I'm standing just a matter of feet from where all of this took in place.
At this hour, all students have been released to their parents. Take a look at this video just in to us moments ago in the newsroom.
This is live video that we are receiving from the scene in Alpine. You can see vehicles carrying law enforcement on the backside of those trucks. Law enforcement has been spread very thin throughout the afternoon. As we just learned a few minutes ago from Sheriff Dodson, it started with the shooting at Alpine High School, then transitioned to a bomb threat at Sul Ross State University, and now he confirmed just minutes ago there has been an additional bomb threat at the hospital there. So as you can imagine, anytime one of these situations happens, they take this very seriously, evacuate buildings, and start to look for the bombs. Let's go right now to CBS 7's Brianna Gallegos. She joins us now live from Sul Ross State University. Brianna, bring us up to date on what you're seeing at your area.
Krista, Tatum, there is a charter bus, actually multiple charter buses at Sul Ross University. They're just getting students and evacuating them. As you can see, a helicopter is patrolling campus, making sure everyone is all right. As you can see over here, we have DPS troopers in the back of a vehicle. I'm not too sure if you can see that or if this truck is in your way, but it's very active. It's been very active since we got here. We spoke to students and they were very scared when they initially got the call, and it's not a bomb threat. That's what concerned them. It is a bomb threat, but it wasn't a drill, and that's what concerned them the most. Right now, the information that we do know is that Sul Ross is being evacuated and they are on lockdown because of a bomb threat. Helicopter is all over the place, just patrolling the area. Alpine as well, Sul Ross as well as Alpine High School. Alpine High School is still a very active scene. We have investigators out here, Texas troopers, DPS, Homeland Security, Border Patrol. Everyone is out here trying to make sure that everyone stays safe. If you are in the area, you are asked to avoid Sul Ross University as well as the high school until further notice. We will be actively reporting from Alpine throughout the day. We have crews out here. It is team coverage, so we will be bringing you the latest and all information that we have gathered throughout the day. For now, live in Alpine, Brianna Gallegos, CBS 7 News.
Thank you very much, Brianna. We are now going to check in with Amanda DeBerry, who has been at Alpine High School. She's been covering the story all morning long and talking to students as this unfolded. Amanda, what's the very latest? How does the situation look?
Kristen, Tatum, still a scary situation. I'm standing in front of the Alpine High School where I have one student, Taylor Hunt, who's going to talk about what she heard and saw. So Taylor, tell me, I know we talked a little bit off camera, but what exactly happened?
We heard the gunshots, and then we thought it was a ladder that had fallen, and we had all ran out, and they were like, Taylor, come back, and that's when we went under to critical lockdown. And then we just heard like the police and stuff like going through the school. And then like 5-10 minutes later, we heard 2 more gunshots. And then we heard the one that had gotten shot yell, and they were saying, help, help.
We do know that police do have the weapon. It was an automatic pistol. The female gunman, she had several rounds on her at the time. And once again, that is an automatic pistol that was recovered at the scene. Let's switch gears to the bomb threat now, Tina.
Right, so we're going to give you a map right now that kind of shows the proximity of where the bomb threat is at Big Bend Regional Medical Center. They are working now 2 scenes at Sul Ross State University and at the hospital there. because two separate bomb threats have been called in. We spoke to Sheriff Ronnie Dodson just minutes ago, and he talked about how thin his crews are right now because they are having to attend to both of these situations. They have brought in additional law enforcement units with the FBI, Homeland Security, just to name a couple of them. It's interesting that so many people view Alpine as this sort of escape in West Texas. It is a lovely, calm, really a jewel of West Texas. And today the scene is so different with so many law enforcement officers there. We just showed you some pictures of DPS troopers with their guns drawn. This is a story that will continue to unfold all day long. We have several crews on the scene. Alexa Dunson joins us now with our coverage there. She is live from the school board. Alexa, what can you tell us today?
Tatum, there are still multiple law enforcement agencies here outside of Alpine High School this afternoon. Sheriff Ronnie Dodson tells us just after 8, a 14-year-old girl shot another teen in her backside right outside of the band hall. The shooter then went inside a bathroom and turned the gun on herself. Now, the school was placed in critical lockdown until all the students were out and they were safe. As for the motive, it's not clear right now. There's still an investigation going on right now, and law enforcement officers are trying to figure out why a 14-year-old student decided to shoot another student and then turn the gun on herself.
So much information today, so we want to take one more look at the things that we have confirmed about today's shooting. A 14-year-old high school freshman brought the gun to school, but she shot another student and then turned the gun on herself. She died at the scene. The other student was hospitalized and released. Meanwhile, a federal agent who was shot in a friendly fire incident as he and other officers were moving in to secure the school. He remains in stable condition at Medical Center Hospital in Odessa. There were also multiple threats today in locations all around Alpine, and a lockdown at Sul Ross State University continues at this hour. To complicate things even more, a man who investigators believe was trying to create more fear and panic called in several threats at locations all across the area, including at Sul Ross State University. We begin tonight with a tragedy in Alpine. New photos capture the emotion of this day. You see a family member reunited with her children after the shooting at Alpine High School. It's a heartbreaking scene that played out all across the city today. Tonight, we know a 14-year-old freshman girl is dead after she shot another young woman inside a bathroom at their high school and then turned the gun on herself. The victim, who has not been identified, was released from the hospital today. This all happened just after 9 o'clock this morning at Alpine High School, and minutes after another emergency situation develops when a man calls in threats all across the area. My partner Jay Hendricks joins us now live from Alpine. Jay, I think the question on everyone's mind now is, how does something like this happen in such a small, quiet, tight-knit community?
Tatum, I think up until today, that's a question that the police chief or the sheriff never had to answer. How could this happen in such a quiet town? They both say this is a quiet community and something like this shouldn't happen. They do active training with the schools. They said they did one this year and said that their school staff was prepared. And during the training, that training says, you know, this is something that probably won't happen in your community. Guess what? It has happened in this community. Joining me right now is Sheriff Ronnie Dodson, also Police Chief Russell Scouter with me, and they've both been very active today, and I know it's busy. Thank you both for joining. Just talking about, the question was asked, how could this happen in such a quiet town? And that's a question I'm sure that you're racking your brain over. This is not supposed to happen here in Alpine.
Absolutely not. You know, it devastated us. You know, we were in shock. I mean, even at the jobs we're so used to doing, we do murders and other things, but not in our school. So we were very shocked.
Russell, I know this is a busy time for you guys. You're going over a lot of evidence and all. Kind of take us through the process, what y'all are doing right now.
Well, at this point, we have the Texas Rangers assisting us, and we're doing a diagram of the school and the area that was involved, trying to get that cleared up. And then once we start collecting evidence, we'll be able to release this back to the school district. We hope that'll be later on this evening, but it's just a time-consuming task, and they're trying to map the whole school, so it's going to take a while to do that.
You get a lot of assistance, I know, from agencies all around. You had to have that because this small community, you're not used to something of this magnitude.
Especially the equipment that's needed, and that's why the Rangers were called, and they have some great mapping equipment to assist with. The PD and the Sheriff's Office are in the investigation. They're doing that part ourselves, but there are things, you know, manpower issues that we just don't have. I mean, our leaders got to know, our community leaders got to know that we're doing what we can with what we got, and we're grateful that these other agencies came in, flew in, drove in real fast, and came in to help us.
Chief, I think another question everybody wants to know is, do we know anything more about what led to this, and how long could that take before we actually come up with an answer on it?
Well, we have a better picture of what actually happened. We're just not at a point where we can release that yet. Hopefully by early next week we can, paint that picture for everybody, let them know a little bit more about why this young lady chose to do this.
Okay. And we know that the patient, it's the girl that was shot, has been released. Is that?
She has been released. That's true.
Okay. I appreciate both of you. I know you're busy. Thanks for your time.
Okay, no problem.
Obviously, there's a lot of questions that is to be answered, and so this will continue. It'll be an ongoing process, and as you heard, it could be next week before more information is known. Deanne Lopez joins me now, and the big question I think tonight is, how is the young girl doing that was shot?
Well, Jay, I spoke with friends of hers, and they tell me she's expected to make a full recovery and is lucky to be alive. They say a total of 4 shots were fired at her, and only 1 hit her in her lower back.
As soon as I found out, I was in tears. I was shocked. She's a very close friend of mine.
17-year-old Cade Blevins heard screams early this morning as he was sitting down in his classroom. He didn't realize those screams were from a dear friend. After he and his classmates were cleared to leave campus after a brief lockdown, he drove straight to Big Bend Regional Medical Center to be by the victim's side, who can be seen in this picture.
Apparently she was going to the bathroom just to check up on herself, look in the mirror or whatever, and she saw another girl whom she apparently didn't recognize with a gun, and she was startled, of course, and then the girl with the gun then turned and looked at her, and of course she was scared and opened fire on her.
Cade says it was at this point that his friend turned around and began running. 1 bullet whizzed past her face and another hit her in the lower back. Fortunately, another student was able to help the 17-year-old girl get to safety behind a group of trash cans near the baseball fields. According to Cade, within minutes someone drove by and rushed them to the hospital.
She's very strong. I'm impressed on how well she took it. If anything, she's kind of a hero because, this other girl could have been trying to kill more people and got too scared.
A lot of people have been wondering if this teen was actually targeted, and her friend Kaden told me that these 2 girls actually did not know each other. And I actually had a chance to speak with a friend of the shooters earlier today, and she tells me that this shooter was known to be a very quiet girl and that she was a victim of bullying. Now, this friend did not want to be on camera, and I think we can respect that. She's very, very emotional right now with everything that's going on.